What I didn't know, and what we all didn't know, that those people in the buses were not delegates. They were chanting slogans. They occupied the room. The atmosphere in the room was charged, but they were not delegates. So that's 1998.
And then what happened?
And then Kufuor was elected, as Adom predicted. Kufuor was elected in 1998. He was elected by 62%.
So you meant to say Kufuor when you said Akufo-Addo?
No, I said we supported Akufo-Addo.
He supported Akufo-Addo.
We as Akufo-Addo people, we came all the way from Commonwealth Hall to Sunyani. We were brutal Akufo-Addo supporters. And we had voices and we chanted. What we didn't know is that we were not delegates and we didn't have the right to elect anybody.
So finally, Otchere about revealing the winner, Nipo be winning for the MPP primaries according to the delegate system. Now I think there's one thing I had in course when it comes to Kennedy Japan and Dr. Bawumia, aside campaigns or Mokoyano, the party itself has a delegate system. Now, saying Ebe Kaya, way back some months ago, the likes of Abronye, no more kase album, no more no mucha, but name in Tiasie. Otchere, aba bedin komobi or this side or Otchere say. Nipo be winino would depend on the delegate system. And your campaign need a number of people move for also. Senya Kennedy Kanya Oka say, Muntie, Asie Hofono. Well, I'll say yes, na the end year, Juma. Otchere, aba bedin komo, a really deep secret. I mean, no, eba be cogest no mu na say ebe koyense mu make us a new viewer. Now won't subscribe to your channel where may urge also be subscribe, like it, charge your comments no more, share video no. Nema afoforo into me and shebi. Enti Otchere aba bedin komo na enkomo di I think say the camp of Bawumia and the camp of Kennedy also mun pay attention to this. Now the enti enkomo no enye den enfamra.
Youth were on the side of this change agenda, radicalism, let's change our party. That's not the first time it happened. It happened before, but I can talk about 98. I attended a congress as a student reporter, and I found Professor Dubois sitting by himself at the catering guest house in Sunyani sometime around midday of the day of the congress. And I approached him. Because I was a student, I began the conversation from there. He asked me who were my lecturers, and I told him, and we started talking. And then he asked me, what do I think is going to happen? And I said, oh, we all expect Akufo-Addo to win. He smiled. I said, well, Akufo-Addo may be the man of the moment, my friend. But this is a conservative party. They may not elect him. I just chuckled and said, well, you are the prof. When I walked out of the catering guest center, just walking outside on the streets before, I saw about 3 or 4 buses with young people chanting Akufo-Addo slogans. There were about 4 buses. Later, I found they were from Sunyani Polytechnic. And I said to myself that, oh, Prof should come and see. And then he will see that Akufo-Addo will win. What I didn't know, and what we all didn't know, that those people in the buses were not delegates. They were chanting slogans. They occupied the room. The atmosphere in the room was charged, but they were not delegates. So that's 1998.
And then what happened?
And then Kufuor was elected, as Adom predicted. Kufuor was elected in 1998. He was elected by 62%.
So you meant to say Kufuor when you said Akufo-Addo?
No, I said we supported Akufo-Addo.
He supported Akufo-Addo.
We as Akufo-Addo people, we came all the way from Commonwealth Hall to Sunyani. We were brutal Akufo-Addo supporters. And we had voices and we chanted. What we didn't know is that we were not delegates and we didn't have the right to elect anybody. What we have to find out on 31st January is whether that process has changed or whether it is the same. Now, in recent periods since Adom, the first time the MPP Congress, high-profile Congress, went to elect somebody and gave us an upset result, upset in quote, was the 2022 contest between John Buedu and Kodia. Okay. That's the first time the MPP since the Dubois era gave that situation where everybody thought the establishment, but then Kodia came out to win. That's the first time it happened. I have been looking at that, and I suspect that was 2022. I suspect that may have influenced the Bawumia people, because when the campaign of 24 started, they were the first to do this youth thing, separating youth. 2024 was the first campaign where we saw a designated campaign for youth, different from the rest of the people. We didn't see that. So Bawumia started it. Then John Mahama did the youth manifesto. So it will be clear that there's a certain response to the youth in 2024 and in 2022. What we are waiting to see next Saturday is what happens. And before we see that, we then have to decide on the two candidates who are contesting. Who is the youthful candidate? Who is the candidate the youth wants? Who is the candidate for change? That's going to be interesting to decide, and it is interesting to determine how the delegates are thinking about it. Because whilst Mahamudu Bawumia is the younger person, he appears to be coming from an incumbency establishment situation even in this election. It would have been possible for him to turn himself into a change candidate, but that has been very difficult. So he doesn't control 100% of the change emotion and the change sentiment. So we have to wait to see how much percentage he controls. Now, if you look at that and you look at the results of the election, then you have to wait for the MPP Congress to see whether the Ghanaian electoral situation is shifting in favor of the loud voices of the youth, whether they have that influence or they don't.
So you completely avoided my question, but this is good. Let's stay where you are. Let's stay where you are. So bottom line, what's the point? That the front runners, Ken and Bawumia, who in your view fits the description of the popular from the youth, so to speak, who may not have a vote, and whose shouting and noise may not amount to anything, as your encounter with Edubuahin reflected?
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that we have to wait to see whether the encounter with Edubuahin will reflect in this election. But I noticed that in 2022, the MPP did something else, different from what they had done since Edubuahin. And if you take a person like Nana Akufo-Addo, for instance, he has been a change agent and also a conservative candidate. In one election, he was a change radical agent. In another election, he was a conservative candidate. So you can look at that. But we have to wait for the voting. And the louder, they say the grassroots, that's what they call them. The grassroots are calling for Ken. The grassroots are calling for Ken. But Dr. Bawumia is youthful. So does Ken truly have 100% of the youth votes? Does he have 70%? Does he have 75%? And if he does, has the youth vote metamorphosed from just talking into actually having influence over delegates?
Maybe let's get a bit scientific, because info analytics, very reliable, has consistently pulled Bawumia far ahead. So how does that, reflect in the analysis that you project?
Info Analytics on 19th January pulled Bawumia at 57%, Kennedy at 32%, 9% for Brian and the rest. That's 19th January. 20th January, Info Analytics pulls Bawumia at 56%, Ken at 30%, and 11% for the rest. On 23rd, which is the latest, Info Analytics pulls Bawumia at 57% and 28% for Ken. Evans Dua, another pollster, lesser known, but who has been captured even on Joy News, I was watching this morning, pulls Kennedy Ejapon at 52%, 52.59%, and has Bawumia at 36%. The polls from Musa Dankwa suggest that Mahamudu Bawumia is going to win. But I'm worried about the Musa Dankwa polls because I have looked at the trend of the NPP primaries. And most candidates, all of them, if I don't most, from Kufuor, most candidates, when they attempt the presidency within the MPP for the first time, and they are coming for the second time, they have always increased their votes within the MPP contest. That's a matter of record. So Kufuor moved in 1996 by beating Edubuahin from 50-something and to beating Akufo-Addo by 60%.
So that aligns with Musa Dankwa's polling?
No, that doesn't. Musa Dankwa is polling Bawumia at 57 from 60 the last time. So Bawumia will be, if Bawumia wins at 57, there's a concern that must be dealt with, because the MPP.
The point is that he has led with a gap. That is difficult to
I'm not talking about Bawumia winning anymore. I'm worried about the percentage, because this is not the trend. The trend of MPP internal elections has been that you go first time, you get 60%, you don't win. You come second time, you do better. Akufo-Addo got 49% the first time in 2007. The next one, he got 84%. So if Mahamudu Bawumia has won by 60%, And Musa Dankwa's post is showing him coming below 60%. That's a concern.
And yet leading. That's the important factor.
That's not the factor. All the people I'm talking about have led. They led Congress 1, won, led Congress 2, won. But in Congress 2,
the Evans Dua polling,
yes.
How believable is it for you? How credible is it for you? He's not known anyway, so he's not been tested.
I interviewed him, and he said to me that he has interviewed 30,000 odd individuals. I found that incredible. I questioned him about it. He said it is true. When he held his press conference at the British Council, he told the media that he had also recorded most of these interviews and invited them to have a look at it. So I don't know. Musa Dankwa has been successful with 2024's election, so you can't write him off. But all I'm saying is that if Musa Dankwa's polling are what it is, for me, it's not just about Bawumia winning. It's about a deeper crunching of the data to determine where really the MPP is.
All right. So you have done 10 minutes of your substantive points rendition. Yes. So you hold on there. You hold on there. We come. Okay. But what do you want to say? Do I get a sense that from where you sit, Ken will take it? Do I get a sense that that's what you're communicating right now?
What I'm saying is that I don't know who will take it, but I'm waiting to see how it turns out, to fit it into the analysis of the data that I'm doing. If it goes Ken's way, it will mean that the voices outside the delegates have now begun to influence.
From what you know and what you have known about the MPP politics particularly, because you're deep within there and you have your ears on the ground with the people who matter in the NPP.
Yes.
Is it going to be a difficult election for Bawumia?
Well, from what we had been gathering from delegates, yesterday I spoke to people in my constituency in Ejuso, and Bawumia had done 66% in Ashanti in the last time. They don't think he may get 66%. Kennedy Japan has held Central Region and Volta Region. Now, even for my friends who are Bawumia people, like Hassan Tampuli and all those my good friends in Bawumia, and I love them, they even think that
inside of what's this according to Adom Otchere and the NPP delegate system. Yes, to me it's very risky, very scary, very humorous, because Otchere under the Kufuor time, Kufuor ne a year former president, a year Kufuor. Ne Kufuor na ne papi was streets no so, but omukoto abani wiye no. Kufuor nya na wutie nkomoni de ebubo ba. And as see no social Ghana current political system na kwakwa to say somebody who is linked to the youth eno here obi obe to many youths relate say share obampeni mahama confess win elections na he didn't win with impenifo no nko. He found a way to communicate with the youth and so to me win election. It is not all about the delegate system. Delegate system no krabe pikiwa. It will depend on nipo too many youth ni relate. Now when it comes to Kennedy, is he fit for that? When it comes to Dr. Bawumia, how do you see it? And age wise also saying na osifa huno, because uti nkomo Adom Otchere Edibabe tu jana is very interesting. Very interesting. Power be keys. And easy. Let me know your opinion in the comments. Also, no subscribe, I may also subscribe, like it. Charge your comments, share video, no, nama afufro, and into me, and share be a